Hi, this is Audrey. Thank you for clicking on my video. This is week 6 of my fall garden update. Let's take a look and see how the plants are progressing. Here's the basil, and look how much this has grown. And it's a lot of it too. Here's the dill. Still just has this one growing, but it's getting big. I see something back here, but it might shrivel up. Now, I planted these and I did look in them just a few minutes ago, and I do see that almost all of them have something sprouting, even though you can't really see it through the bag. So maybe this week I'll take these off when they get a little bigger. Here is the cauliflower. I've been putting it off, but I know I'm going to have to dig these out and transplant them. But a lot of growth. This is the parsley. Now, it looks like it's starting to flower. Why is it flowering so soon? Look how small they are, and it's flowering. I don't know what's going on with that. This is the in-ground tomato plant. These are the tomato plants in the pot. There's a lot of growth there. Here's the cilantro. Now, it does look like something is mixed in here, because now this is a cilantro leaf right here, but there's something flowering in here. This is not cilantro. So apparently there were weeds mixed in with the cilantro. I need to get out here and pull all of these out. I don't want to end up eating a weed. Okay, here is the sage. Alright, so here's the pot that had the, what was this, cucumber? And you see it's getting pretty big already. Look at that. The cabbage never formed. Now the beans, they kind of look like they're struggling. And they've gotten plenty of water, so maybe it's the sun. Maybe it's still too hot. Here are the peas. Here are the mustard greens. They're coming along pretty good. All right, here is the zucchini. This plant looks okay. It may be may need a little watering. This one kind of looks like it's struggling. Here's the yellow squash. What's that? I didn't have a lot to update this week, but we do see that there was a lot of growth with the basil and the cauliflower. Now with the cauliflower, I do want to get out there and transplant them from the pot to the main garden. I just want to do a little more research and see what area they need to be in. Where they are, they get mostly shade. It does get some sun in that area, but the majority of the time, it's in a shaded area. And so I'm thinking when I transplant them, I may need to put them in a shady area in the in-ground garden. I didn't have a lot to show because I didn't really do too much in the garden, but let's take a look and see what other plants that I have growing. I'll give you a quick little garden tour. While I'm out here, might as well show you the other plants that I had growing. I didn't start these in fall, but I do have other things growing in the yard. Here are some pepper plants that I had, and there are just several, so it looks like they're already starting to grow some peppers. Here's a little bitty one here. Got quite a few flowers. These are different kinds. I don't remember what all they were. I just grabbed some seeds and put them out here, and they are just now starting to grow pretty good. I've picked off of this just a few times. It hasn't had a whole lot, but I'm sure there'll be some more peppers growing in. And they're pretty tall. Let me go back so you can kind of see the scale of how tall they are. They're pretty big. So let's just do an overview of the garden. It's in bad shape right now. So this is where the mustard greens are growing. Up there's where the peas are. Over there's where I had the butternut squash and eggplant. They didn't come in, but they didn't make it. This is the row where I had onions and I had broccoli and Brussels sprouts here. They didn't make it. Over there is where I planted the cabbage that didn't make it. Here is where the lettuce is. Let's take a look at the lettuce. Oh, before that row, here in this little section was where I planted the carrots. But the lettuce, well, I mean, it's not dead. It's not doing great, but it's dead. It's not dead. There's a pile right here. I'm thinking maybe the cats have been out here and they're using it as a litter box. That little section is where the spinach was. I planted some asparagus last year and it's popping up on its own. I haven't done anything to it, but the little stalks that pop up are so skinny that you really can't do anything with them. Here are the cucumber plants. All right, so this whole area is where I planted some sweet potatoes. And honestly, I don't know when to pull them up. I planted them either June or July, so I may try to pull some up this coming month in the next week or two to see, hopefully there's some sweet potatoes under there. This azalea bush ended up dying. It was alive, but when I moved it, it was alive, but I moved it back here in the main garden area and it ended up dying for some reason. And it's right next to this one. This one is coming back really good. I said I was going to plant it in this section, but I just haven't gotten around to it. And then there's one back there. Hey, look at that mushroom. Look how big that mushroom is. There's a mushroom. And then here, look, next to this azalea, there's another mushroom. What does that mean? Around this tree here, I planted last year some daffodils and tulips. And right after I planted them, I guess the squirrels must have been watching me, because when I came out here the next day, they had dug almost all of them up. So I had I think two daffodil plants that came in like around this area, but I had it surrounded and I wanted to have them pop up this year, but the squirrels got to them. All right, this flower bed is a mess. It's been abandoned, but the flowers are still here. This is in this corner is where the tomato plants are, and then that basil that's popped up. During the spring, I had some marigold, the big marigold plants that were here, and oh man, they were so pretty. It took a long time for them to grow, but when they did, they showed out. These are zinnias. There's a rose bush mixed in here. The zinnias have kind of taken over. This rose actually has popped out yesterday. Look at that. It's so beautiful. I love flowers. Look at those. Those little white flowers back there, They were here. I didn't plant these. These came with the house, and I don't know what they are. I think they're some kind of garlic or onion or something, because they smell like onions or garlic when I cut them. Here's some more zinnias coming in. I'm just not noticing those. There's actually another little mini rose bush back there, but you can't see it. I don't even know where it is right now. I really need to clean this little area up. Here's another azalea. This is the one that I had. I put it in this area, but I guess it's getting too much sun, so it ended up dying. There's a little brown lizard that lives in this little area here. Whenever I water, he scampers. He leaves this area and scampers over here somewhere. Now this is a rose bush that broke off, a branch that broke off the rose bush that I have in the front yard, and I stuck it in here to get it out the way because nothing was in this pot. So I stuck it in here, and it's been growing. And look how much, it's a climbing rose, and look how much it's grown. It's been in here, I believe, 2 years, because I brought it in last year, so this is the second year that I've had it. Again, that's the tomato, that's where the cilantro is. Here are some more pepper plants. And look. Oh, look at that. Look at these. If I can get a grip on them. And then look at this big bell pepper. It's not as big as the one in the stores, but it's big for me. Okay, so this is my dad planted some apple seeds from the apples they got from the store, and this is what's growing. Here are Brussels sprouts. There aren't any actual Brussels sprouts forming on this one. Here's another Brussels sprout. I can see like the little tiny Brussels sprouts growing, but for some reason they're not getting any bigger than that. I've taken some of the leaves off the bottom, but this is, I mean, they're not, it looks alive and it looks healthy, but there's nothing actually growing on them. The actual Brussels sprouts aren't growing. So I don't know what to do. This plant has been like this growing for months. So I really don't know what to do with it. Here's some more peppers. I had a lot of pepper seeds. And this thing is loaded with peppers. I need to get out here and pick some. I just was trying to see were they going to get any bigger than this, but I guess not, because they've been like this for a couple of weeks now, so I may just need to just pick them. But yeah, there's pepper. There are peppers all over this thing. I need to water it. This is another rose bush that broke off of a different rose bush that I had, and I stuck it in here, and it's growing. I had a blueberry plant that I had, but it looks like it's, well, it doesn't look dead. So I don't know, should I pull this out or just leave it in here? I've never had any blueberries on it, but it did have leaves, but I just realized all the leaves are gone. The leaves I thought I was looking at, they're from the rose bush. This is a shrub called an abelia. I might not be saying the name right, but this one, when I planted it, it did pretty good when I planted it, and then it started struggling in the heat of the summer. The leaves were always wilted, the flowers weren't there, and then just suddenly, I didn't do anything different. Just one day I came out and it started looking like it was reviving itself. And I do believe this plant is native to Texas, so that's one of the reasons why I was excited about getting it. And it seems to be doing pretty good right now. Now this rose bush exploded with flowers. just in the past week, this past week. And the only thing I did differently, I did put some of that fertilizer out that I bought from Walmart. So, oh man, look how pretty these flowers are. I hate that my camera doesn't capture how they look in real life, because this is really pretty. I had a large fern in the front yard and I split it into 3 ferns. The main fern that I had is not completely dead, but is struggling. But this is one of the ones that I cut off, and it looked really bad when I first did it, but man, look how it's grown. This is a little mini yellow rose bush. It's a rose bush that I got on clearance from Walmart. This was a Mother's Day special, and after Mother's Day, they were discarding them. They put them on clearance for like $2, and they did look bad, but I just repotted it in this pot, and it's been growing. It was actually 3 plants in one, and I put them in 3 different pots, well, 2 different pots, and then 1 in the ground. All 3 of them have survived, and they're growing. Well, that's all I have for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.